Hey, honey,
Yes, Barry?
let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
Where do we always go?
Fascina y el viento, este ritmo de palmas, sin ti naturaleza, hasta encontrar la playa. Por eso grito al mundo, yo soy de Puerto Vallarta. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto Vallarta.
Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. I'm your host, Barry Kessler, and I'm just so happy to be introducing you to my favorite vacation destination. Hey, maybe it's even yours, and that's Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. That music you're listening to is performed by Alberto Perez, and Alberto is the owner of the Lapa Lapa group of restaurants here in Puerto Vallarta. Those are the Lapa Lapa, the El Dorado Beach Club, and at night, for dinner, that El Dorado transforms into the ever-so-romantic Vista Grill, with dramatic views of the Los Muertos Pier, all lit up at night in beautiful colors. And of course, at Lapa Lapa, you can enjoy that same view of the Los Muertos Pier all day long, for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, seated with your toes in the sand right at the water's edge. It's so romantic. It's so Puerto Vallarta, my friends. This week I've got 2 interviews for you. I have John Russell. You know him as JR in PV. He's my co-host, and he's coming back on after a long absence. And we're gonna be talking about sailing and about Old Puerto Vallarta. And I will be interviewing a private driver here in Puerto Vallarta. His name is Jose Chamaco Castillo. But first, let's see what's happening this week in Puerto Vallarta, the 8th of August, 2018. It's back to school time all around the world, and that includes Corazon de Nina. And if you don't know what Corazon de Nina is, it's a home for at-risk children, kids who are too old for the local orphanages here in Puerto Vallarta. And this lady, Melissa Canez, along with her husband, Jose, they take them in and they work miracles with these kids. And if you haven't listened to the interview that I had with Melissa, you've got to go back and listen to it. I'm going to have a link to it in the show notes just in case. But I have a message from Melissa Canez, and she writes, "Help, it's back to school time. We have 34 children starting primary and secondary school in mid-August, and so far, only 13 of these children are sponsored. So we're asking for your help. You can sponsor a child for the year for $300 US, which includes their education, food, medical, dental, transportation, and medical insurance. I have a list of the children, and we would be happy to attach names and support to them. You will see the profiles and the pictures of the children in our summer newsletter. And if you want to help, you can just go ahead and send an email to Jean Jewell at admin@corazondenina.mx and give her the name of the child that you would like to sponsor. Donations can be made through our website at fundacioncorazondenina.mx. I'll have all that. I'll have links for those in the show notes, you guys. And she says, thanks for opening your hearts. So I have all that information. Like I said, I've got pictures of the kids that you can sponsor too. I've got a link to that newsletter. And if you scroll down, you will find the photos and the bios for all the kids there that really need your help. So if you can't do it, if you can't make a donation of $300 US, get together with a friend or two and, put together something that looks like $300 US and sponsor a child for the year. Check out the profiles of the kids, like I said, and they really need your help. I got an announcement here from Bob Price over at Vallarta Botanical Garden, who writes, we are expanding our business. This coming October, we launch our own tours to the Vallarta Botanical Garden. We will pick you up in town for a guided tour by luxury motor coach for the experience of a lifetime. tour the new vanilla plantation, and the other magnificent attractions, our garden with a special gourmet Mexican lunch included. More details to follow. We're very excited. And cool. All right. Well, we're pretty excited too, Bob. Although now you've just taken all the fun out of taking that bus. All right. Never mind. We're going to give this a try. It sounds like a great opportunity and another item really that we can, add to our growing list of things to do when we come to visit Puerto Vallarta, or actually in this case, when we come to visit Cabo Corrientes. But hey, we need to be accurate here, so don't call me picky. Don't do it. All right, I have 2 new 5-star reviews. One of them reads, great interviews and a wealth of information from Sleeper Wave from the US of A. And he writes, just returned from my first trip to Vallarta and already burned through your first 13 podcasts and anticipate listening to all of them in a short period of time. Many thanks, Barry, for the obvious time and devotion that you put in the podcast. The production quality is outstanding, and I am amazed that you provide full transcripts of many of the podcasts. The show notes are always full of details and helpful links. Your interviews with JR and local business owners and community leaders are skillful and informative. You really draw out stories about life in Vallarta. It would seem you're not marketing anything other than a love of Vallarta that you want to share with others. Your rich and clear baritone voice is an added bonus and makes it easy to listen to the podcast in noisy environments. I've already booked my next trip for Christmas and New Year's. Keep the podcasts flowing. Okay. All right. Wow. All right. So 13 down, and that makes maybe like 70 more to go. At an hour apiece, let's see, about 3 days. You can have 3 days of straight binge listening, 24 hours at regular speed. If you double the speed, of course, then I don't know about the rich baritone voice. It might disappear. Anyway, thank you very much. The next review is from Steve from Canada, and he writes, Barry's podcast is excellent. Barry, my wife and I wanted to say a very big thank you for all your efforts with the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show podcast. We have listened since episode 1 and have not missed a single episode. Your show set the stage for our first visit to Vallarta in January and February of 2018, and we felt so much at home thanks to your podcast. We did, like so many others, fall in love with Vallarta, and we'll be back for 3 months in early 2019. We're lining up a host of places to visit thanks to your continued efforts. Many thanks, and keep up the great work. Steve and Dee. Oh, wow. Well, thank you, Steve and Dee. Thanks very much for that. I really appreciate getting these 5-star reviews. It really helps me out. I got an email from listener Carol. Carol writes, hi, Barry. I'm not sure if you heard about this news story. A British Columbia woman staying in Puerto Vallarta survived a serious electrocution injury recently. The rental that she was staying in was too close to power lines, and there was an arc. Thinking this could be a good topic to raise listener awareness of especially travelers seeking more local-type accommodations. Love your show. Thanks, Carol. Okay. Well, Carol, thank you. I did not hear about this at all. And actually, I went and did a Google search after you sent me the information here, and there's almost nothing on the interwebs about it. You can go to her Gofundme page, but I got this link here from Carol. So let's go right now to Global News and this report, August 2nd, 2018. Rumina Daya reporting.
There you go. Thanks, Mom.
23 hours a day in a burn suit. This is just the start of Natalie Campbell's recovery.
My life literally flashed before my eyes. I thought at the time that I was shot.
The 27-year-old bridesmaid was in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico for her friend's wedding in May. She was on the balcony of her rented condo, waving to friends on the street, when she was blasted with roughly 1,000 volts of electricity from dangerously low-hanging power lines.
This is the bathing suit I was wearing. And when the electricity hit, blew it just apart.
The electrical current shot through Campbell's hand and out through her stomach. The damage? Third-degree burns, a skull fracture, and bleeding in the brain.
It could really happen to anyone, because there's no warning or there's nothing to make you have an idea that they're even close, because us Canadians just assume that it's all safe.
Catastrophic injuries, despite the fact Campbell never touched the power lines. She had her phone in her hand. She was waving to her friends down below. No contact with the lines.
Don't assume this happened because she was holding her phone. This happened because she got too close to the power line.
BC Hydro warns that electricity can jump without contact. Standards are different worldwide, so be aware of your surroundings.
The reality is she's just too close. That's why, we say to people 3 meters. If you're 3 meters away from a power line, then you're going to be sure you're not going to experience an arc.
Campbell grateful she bought travel insurance, which covered the cost of 2 surgeries in Mexico and being medevaced back to hospital in Vancouver.
Just be cautious when you enter a different country. Get travel insurance.
4 surgeries and counting. It's unclear if anyone in Mexico could be held accountable. Campbell's friends don't want her to worry. They've launched a GoFundMe page to help cover medical costs.
I'm still here, and clearly it's not fair, but I did get a second chance, so I kind of look at it that way.
Romina Dea, Global News.
All right, so this poor woman got zapped. I mean, through and through, right? Kind of like Rambo, Edgar. We joke all the time about these wire rat's nests that we see overhead on the telephone poles, on the power line, on the power poles and stuff like that in Puerto Vallarta. In fact, one of my favorite Airbnbs actually has one of these tangled wire messes right in front, right off the balcony. I mean, I just stand maybe 3 inches from it, not 3 meters. So it's very, very interesting. Now, let's read from Natalie Campbell's GoFundMe page here. It reads, our dear friend Natalie Campbell suffered from a severe electric shock in Puerto Vallarta on May 16th. She was burnt from the inside and out, and we're lucky that she's alive. She has a lengthy road of recovery with multiple doctor, psycho, and plastic surgery bills, to name just a few. We have started this GoFundMe page in the hopes of raising some money to help cover the costs that she's endured and will endure for a long, long time to come. For those of you who don't know the story, Natalie was standing on a balcony of the rental property that she was staying at in Mexico. She was holding her phone, and her hand got too close to the city's street wires. Many volts of electricity went through her hand and out of her stomach, which was leaning against the metal railing. She also suffered from a fractured skull and bleeding of the brain. She spent 4 days in a Mexican hospital and underwent 2 surgeries. When she was stable enough to fly, she was medevaced to VGH on May 21st. After 2 more surgeries and first-degree burns to the face and neck and second-degree burns to the arm and chest, third-degree burns to her hand and stomach, and requiring multiple skin grafts from her leg, she was released from the hospital on May 29th. Even though she had travel insurance, thankfully, Natalie has had to return to VGH for weekly checkups and additional skin grafting. She is still in discomfort and has an abundance of damage all over her body. She now has to wear a pressure garment 23 hours a day for the next year and will have to reorder a new one in October. The garment costs alone will be over $1,000. There is still a long road ahead, and we are uncertain as to what other expenses and medical needs will come her way. We appreciate any donation, if any, to help cover Natalie's medical costs and or positive vibes sent her way during this time. Any funds remaining, Natalie would like to donate to the VGH burn unit. Okay. So I looked to see if this was a common event here in Puerto Vallarta. I had never heard of anything like it before, and actually I couldn't find any others that had been reported on, so it was kind of a relief. But look, beware. Now I'll give her this: she had traveler's insurance, and that should be a lesson to all of you. This could be really, really, totally expensive if she hadn't had traveler's insurance. And anyway, I've got a link to the World News video. It's pretty gruesome. She got burned really bad. You could see this burn in the palm of her hand where she was holding the phone, and you could just tell that this thing just went right through her body. It's kind of gross. Anyway, I have a link to that, and a link to her GoFundMe page with pictures and more in the show notes. And thank you, Carol with a K. I never would have known about this incident if you hadn't brought it to my attention. And there are so many non-traditional ways to stay in Puerto Vallarta nowadays, not just in hotels. There's Airbnbs, like I do all the time, the VRBOs, all that other stuff. So, it's good to know that this could happen. This is a potential danger. And, Carol, you never know. You might have saved a life. So thanks for the info, really. Okay, so let's get on with the interviews, okay? My first guest is my co-host, JR, John Russell. And JR he's the man behind VallartaInfo.com. It's a website that I send you to take tours. It's got his great maps, all kinds of information about Puerto Vallarta you can find there. And I was talking with JR the last time down, and he was telling me about one of his friends. His friend suggested that he should sit down and write a book about all of his adventures, all of his ventures in Puerto Vallarta, the stories about his life and so forth. And so I sat there and I looked at him and I said, so how long has this friend been suggesting you write your memoirs? He said, about 10 years or so. So I suggested that he might consider, instead of just writing them down, maybe that I could record an audio version of his memoirs. And he agreed. So we had been discussing the podcast with Captain Kirk and Heidi and their sailing adventures. And by the way, Captain Kirk and Heidi are still in Puerto Vallarta. Kirk is doing fine, and they finally got their boat motor problems all solved. And if you haven't heard that episode with Captain Kirk and Heidi, go back and listen to it. I'll link it up. And it was a fun interview. Anyway, we got to talking about sailing down in Puerto Vallarta, and I asked him if he could tell the whole story about that sailboat that he came down to work on his first trip down to Puerto Vallarta. The sailing vessel was named White Cloud 2, and he told us a little bit about it in one of the first episodes of the show, but I wanted him to get a little bit more into it, okay? So let's go right now to JR's living room, overlooking Puerto Vallarta, and let's hear from the man himself, JR in PV. You want to talk about sailing?
Okay. What brought me down here the first time? I was living in Venice, Venice Beach, California, and I got into sailing in Marina del Rey, and a friend of mine, Larry, he and I got involved in the Wednesday night races and such like, and he was a great seat-of-the-pants sailor. But his parents had a boat down here. They've been sitting here for 5 years, and they wanted to get it back to the U.S. and sell it. Larry, as I said, was a great sailor, but he didn't know how to navigate. Right? And I did. Not only that, I had a sextant. Because in those days, that was about the only thing that was going to work. There was no electronic. They had some electronic stuff, but it was very inaccurate. Anyhow, so we all come down here. He, I, and several other friends of ours. And we get down to the boat, and the boat had been looked after by his brother. It might have been best if he hadn't been looking after it. Larry's mum and dad had been living here for some time, and his dad got some sort of charter to go to Isla Isabella, or actually to pick up people to take to Isabella, which is off the coast of Mazatlan. We take off, and before reaching the island, the engine seized up. There's a long story involved with that, but I won't get into that right now. But the engine seized up solid. We managed to sail in and anchor at the island, and Cousteau's son's boat, the Chevernard, I think it was called, was there, and we knew that from Marina del Rey. And there was a Kiwi New Zealand engineer on that boat, and he came onto our boat with the biggest crowbar I've ever seen and put it in the teeth of the flywheel and tried to break free the engine seizure without success. After that, it was obvious we had to sail back to get repairs.
Yeah.
And we did manage to sail back. There's a long story about all of this, but eventually we get back. And the engine has to be taken out and dismantled inside the boat because there's no way. I mean, this is a boat that was built in 1930, a 71-foot staysail schooner designed by John Alden, a very famous designer, but in really bad shape. We found out a lot more about that later. Anyhow, so the engine had to be taken apart and rebuilt. So consequently, I and the rest of the crew took off to Yalapa, and before that we partied like crazy in Carlos O'Brien's, which was the place on the Malecon, yes, about the only bar, lively bar on the Malecon. We partied a lot in that. We were living on the boat, right?
Uh-huh.
The road to
I'll
the
bet you that probably didn't attract women to the having a beautiful, this huge schooner there, right? That probably didn't.
Yeah, but it was out in the marina. The marina then was just solid docks, and there was nothing else there.
Oh, so there
just north of the marina was just mangrove swamp all the way. There was no Nueva Vallarta. There was no condos. There was nothing. And the road, which is the road to the airport, was 2 lanes dirt. Okay, this is going back a way. Anyhow, so we take off to Yalapa, and we just party up in Yalapa, and we were in Yalapa about 10 days, 2 weeks, before the engine was finally fixed. And then we eventually took off, and we managed to get back. The boat leaked like a sieve. The hull, the deck, it was like living at a waterfall. Wow. And then underneath the sole, which is the floor, what we call the floor on a boat, there were little waterfalls over the frames from the water coming through the hull. Oh. Luckily, the bilge pumps worked, and they worked a lot. I was navigator, okay, and actually I did pretty good, but in order to navigate with a sextant, you have to start with what is called the assumed position, and that is determined by direction and time. It's called dead reckoning, right, from your last position. In other words, the helmsman is given a heading to steer, and there's a log that records how far you've travelled, and that should take you to the next place. Except we had 2 on watch, okay, one guy behind the helm, and then he would switch over to the other guy. But there was a guy, Rick, who was a really amusing guy and everything, and a great raconteur. And his partner was Fisherman Bob, who wore glasses. And it was very wet in the cockpit, going against the weather. and quite a lot of spray and everything. And Rick would sit in the cover of the cabin and chat and keep Fisherman Bob awake. Problem was, Fisherman Bob couldn't see the compass rose. He could see the big arrow that was north, right? And he tried to keep that in the same position, but he couldn't actually see where we were actually headed. Yeah. And consequently, I had dead reckonings that put us ashore. Anyhow, but subsequently, after we got back, I went back through the log and did all the calculations again, and I was right on them, and that made me feel very good. But oh man, we had so many problems. I mean, amazing. But we made it. Inside of the Marina del Rey breakwater, Larry picked up the floorboard in the aft cabin, and the water was maybe half an inch from the floor.
Oh my God! You can read this.
What had happened is the float switches on the bilge pumps have a float switch, and when the water gets up, it switches on, and when it goes down, it switches off. These had broken and became defective. So we rigged up a manual switch for the other person on watch, so he would turn it on for like 10 minutes and then off for 20 minutes, and then on again for 10 minutes, rather than because the water was coming in that fast.
Yeah.
So now he looks at this water, it's obviously hasn't been pumping, and then we just discovered that the circuit breaker in the nav station someone had hit the circuit breaker, and there was no power going to the bilge pumps. Okay, but Larry was like, "Oh my God, we're gonna sink inside of the boat after all the trials and tribulations we've had. We're going to sink inside of inside of Marina del Rey breakwater." Anyhow, bottom thing, we did get back, and all was fine, and eventually took the boat up to Channel Island Marina, and took it out of the water to work on it.
Yeah, great marina there. That's where I've got my boats too. That's neat. What a great story that is. So how long was that? How long did that trip take you from Vallarta to Marina del Rey?
Well, with all the breakdowns and everything, what should have been like 3 weeks was like 2.5 months. But to ruin my business, I was a professional photographer in Los Angeles, shooting products for advertising, and I lost a lot of clients because of that. In a way, it was a blessing in disguise, because my business was such that I would get a 5-figure check-in, but would run out of that before I finished writing out checks that I owed. Subsequently, I started working in the marina doing electrical, plumbing, and such like work on boats. And I was making more money doing that than I was as a professional photographer. I mean, when I finished writing out checks, I had to stop mailing a couple of them so that I could go to Safeway and buy some food and get cash, for the next week. Yeah. But after working on the boats, the fridge was full. I had money in my pocket all the time. Not only that, I'd wander into these kind of cattle bars. What do you call them? Bars with lots of women looking around.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. When I was photographer, I was all tarted up and everything. I'd walk in. I was invisible.
Yeah, no kidding.
So in the marina, I'm dirty jeans. I've been working on the boat. Oh, I need a beer. I go into one of these bars, and every woman's eyes in the whole bar rotated towards me. Da 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 da.
And then with that accent, man, you just killed it.
Oh no! But this was before my mouth. By the way, the name of the boat is White Cloud 2. It was eventually sold to a guy called Paul down in San Diego, who was a sailmaker, and he raced it quite a bit. Schooner races, which I also was involved in. And then he took off to the Pacific, and he eventually got an offer to buy it from somebody in Australia, and on the way, the boat got hit by what we call a rogue wave, like a really steep, bad wave, and it broke apart what they call the garboard strake. The garboard strake is the first plank above the keel. Being a sailmaker, he naturally put a sail over to hope that a sail would get sucked in and stop the leakage, but it wasn't going to work. It slowed it down enough that he was able to contact friends on the ham radio to come and rescue them. And they anchored in inside of a reef or down sea from a reef, so it wasn't in a dangerous position. Got out their sewing machines and all their canvas and started sewing up big bags, put everything in it they wanted to take with them, put the trophies on the main salon table, dressed the boat in flags, bunting from bow to stern, to the top of the mast and stern. And then he pulled the plug, and to his friends at Carpenter, he pulled the plug and let her go down.
Wow.
There was I still have an article that was in the San Diego newspaper about that.
Interesting. I've got a couple of great. Well, John's got a couple of great photos here of the boat and of him standing on the bow there.
On the bowsprit.
On the bowsprit.
Oh yeah. Well, that's a little funny story. When the boat originally left. Before it came back to Puerto Vallarta, it went to the Caribbean. On the way to the Caribbean in Panama, one of the original crew members saw another Alden boat anchored in Panama for sale, a very nice-looking yawl, and he left the crew and bought it. And that's the last they heard of him until... Well, on our way back, we pull into Cabo San Lucas, an anchor, and we're sitting there having sunset cocktails as usual. And now he sees this boat coming in, and he says, I kind of recognize that boat. And it's this guy, Josh. That was his name. The name filters through. Josh. And it was Josh, and he had not returned for 5 years.
Oh, wow, okay.
And we meet up in Cabo San Lucas after 5 years.
Okay. So
right. So we got drunk as it was that night, and Josh wasn't there in the morning. We found his bead necklace, the beads from his bead necklace all over the deck. He jumped off and swam back to his boat. Right. So we'd arranged to have a race up the coast, right?
Uh-huh.
So we sneak out real early and fuel up at the dock and take off. On the way up the coast, when you go up the coast, you got the wind against you and the seas against you, and this boat was leaking and working really hard, so we had to tack off. And we tacked off, really wide tacks, like 100 miles off the coast, before we're going to tack again. And we're about 100 miles off the coast, and we see a sail behind us. God, no, if it isn't Josh, who catches up with us and takes the picture that you see of me standing on the bowsprit.
Ah, that is a great story. Okay, all right. I'll take a picture of that, and I'll put it in the show notes so you can see that. Wow, that's a funny story. So he stopped and got off the boat when it was on its way to Vallarta.
When it was on its way to the Caribbean, on its way down.
On the way down.
Before it came back. Because it was 5 years.
Okay.
5 years later.
Okay, that makes sense then, all that time then.
Yeah.
What a great story. Okay, I'll have a picture of that in the show notes for this episode, so check it out.
And there's all the story about Cuba. But we're getting, that's another story.
Okay, we'll talk about Cuba another time. All right. So you got some exciting news. You got something going on downstairs, don't you? A place that people can rent, right?
Right. Actually, it's next door to me. Well, at least the second floor is next door. It's a one-bedroom, 3-floor apartment. It's on the first floor is living room and kitchen. second floor bedroom with a balcony, bathroom and shower separate, and closets, etc. And then above that, there's a small area on the roof, nice view up there, and you could also sunbathe up there quite well. It was originally meant to have a laundry set up there. There's like a small covered area where they've got a hookup for washer dryer. But I mean, I don't know what you would use that for, but it's a nice place just for the view and to sunbathe and sit, read a book or whatever. My friend David, he rented it and is now doing I think it's Airbnb or something like that.
VRBO or something like that, one or the other.
His sister stayed here for about 6 weeks, and she's an artist, and they repainted the whole place. They bought all sorts of brand new equipment, microwave, everything, coffee maker, toaster, everything you need. Everything is perfectly equipped, very nicely equipped. The couch down below in the living room will actually fold out and sleep too.
Oh, okay.
You know, so you could theoretically have two couples there, right? I think he's renting it for something like 40, 45.
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that. It's very nice, and that includes Wi-Fi. That includes, you know, there's no extras. In other words, you know.
Right, nothing piled on.
All inclusive. It's a nice area. It's right on the bus route of the 04. You walk out and the bus is right there.
Right, take you right into town.
Right, well, the 04 bus that comes down this road, there are two of them. One will take you to town, all the way to the sports stadium. The other one goes to Paso Ancho. Right, so when I want to go to El Rio Barbecue, I just go outside the door and catch a bus and I'm there.
Exactly.
There's a corner store and a small liquor store across the street. Actually beer, no liquor.
How late are they open?
Well, the beer store is kind of erratic.
Aren't they all?
Sometimes open, sometimes not. Otherwise, the corner store is open by 8 in the morning at least.
And then does it stay open late?
Yeah, probably to 11.
Okay, that's good.
Something like that. If not, there's other places less than a block or so away. There's a very nice taco stand just down the hill, 1 block down.
Nice carnitas little taco stand, little.
Right, that's incidentally on my street food guide, and you can see it on the map. And a little bit further on, there's another place that's open during the day. Tacos de carnitas and tacos dorados, which is very good.
Yeah.
I mean, huge amount of food. I mean, 2 tacos at 14 pesos each, and I'm full.
Right, that's all you need.
Right.
Last you half the day. So what I'll do is I'll take some pictures, you guys, and maybe I'll get a little video of the inside of the place so you can take a look at it and see for yourself. You know, if you want to be JR's neighbor for a little while, you can do that.
I've got to go in and water the plants anyhow.
There you go. So anyway, I was there the other day checking it out, and he's right. I mean, it's got everything you need if you want to cook. I mean, all right, who wants to cook when they come to Puerto Vallarta? But if you want to cook, they got everything there. It's very cozy. It's very pretty inside. She did some nice things to that place. Really decorated it nice. So, you know, it's foofy and frilly looking, but I think that, I don't know about you, but I think that upper deck is really, I think it's the coolest part of the place.
Yeah, it's a great, nice private place to sunbathe.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you want to take off your never mind. All right. So you can stay at this cool place. It doesn't have air conditioning, folks. So you know, if you, I would say if it's in season, it's a good place to stay at for sure. Now, and of course, you're going to be right there with JR, right? You know, your guide. He would be your neighbor. So, what a great place to stay. And you know that story that he told about White Cloud 2, when they pulled the plug and the ship went down. Man, that's just, I had a tear in my eye. That was really sad. But great story, JR. And there's going to be more coming from JR in the coming weeks. I've got them planned coming up. So, stand by for those. Now, the next interview I have is with a very soft-spoken young man. His name is Jose Chamaco Castillo. And Jose is a private driver. He's not a cab. He's not an Uber driver. He's a private driver. And he's got a nice SUV, got a nice car that he drives. And this guy really knows his way around the Bay. He's another one of these guys that you listeners suggested that I talk with and introduce my audience to. So, without any further ado, let's go to my Airbnb in the heart of the Emiliano Zapata neighborhood. Let's compete a little bit with the crowing roosters and get you to meet my friend and now your private driver in paradise, Jose Chamaco Castillo. Chamaco, tell my listeners a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Jose Castillo, and I'm a private driver here in Puerto Vallarta. I was raised in the States in Wyoming, Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I was there for a couple of years. Then my wife and we moved here. We love this place, beautiful place to be, and I like to help people, and that's why I became a private driver.
All right. So how long have you been driving for visitors that come to Puerto Vallarta?
Just right about 3 years, driving people around, giving people directions, and help them up a little bit.
Cool. So tell us about your ride. You have a very impressive vehicle out there. Looks very comfortable.
Yeah, I have a mid-size SUV that can fit 4 adults comfortably. I would say yes, it's a really comfortable car. Because I can put luggage in there and air condition, and it's a nice car.
It sure is. And when you come to Puerto Vallarta, you need some air conditioning. There's no doubt about that. So Jose's got the air conditioning. All right, so tell us exactly what you do. I mean, you're not a guide. You're a driver, right?
Yeah, I'm just a private driver. That somebody can hire me and request my services, and I will go pick them up wherever their location is. No, I'm not considering myself a guide, because guides, they have to have a special license, they have to go to school, they have to have a test programs, and etc. So
yeah, they are specially trained, and we love our guides. And so Jose is not a guide, but he'll point out something if someone says, "Hey, just show us," you'll point out stuff in the town, right?
Definitely. And,
okay.
I can show them restaurants or suggest where the most popular places are here in Puerto Vallarta, or anywhere in the north or south of PV.
Right, and you've been taking people around for 3 years, so you know what people's tastes are. You know what people like, right? If you ever take them to a place, they go, "Hey, Jose, that was really not a good one, man." You have to you'll change that up, right? I'm kidding. They're all good. So tell me, what do you charge per hour, let's say, for your services, and do you have a minimum number of hours?
Yes, people can hire me, let's see, 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 or up to 12 hours. So
okay, so your minimum is 6 hours.
6 or 8. Okay, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, and what's your fee?
My fee is if it's here in the city in Puerto Vallarta, around $15.
Okay, that's $15 US.
US.
Okay, that's very, very reasonable. Do you do airport pickup, or that's really not a 6 hour job?
No, definitely not. But if I have a client who requests, they can they will contact me, or some of my clients from the past, or friends that they recommend me. I do pick them up. I pick them up because they have an extra luggage, or they have dogs, and we have to do a stop here or a stop at the store, get some groceries, and yeah, that's one of the airport pickups that I do.
Okay, so this is for just people that are clients of yours, past clients more than likely, that you know are going to hire you probably during the week or the month or the however long they're staying, because these people stay a long time. What is your clientele like? Are they regulars? Are they here to buy real estate? Are they here to just check out stuff? What are your clients like?
I would say pretty much a little bit of everything. They're here to buy properties. They're here to spend the weekend. There are some clients, they move from Puerto Vallarta and they go up north to San Pancho, Sayulita, and then those clients, I pick them up from the airport, and then after a week, I take them to Sayulita or San Pancho, where they want to stay for the next week.
Okay, and that's that's really cool. It's a good service because these people you're helping, they're not just your regular tourists. They have extra. They got like a dog. They got extra bags. They're from what you were telling me earlier. A lot of them are more elderly, right? They're retired, so they need a little extra help.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And not just the help that I'm gonna carry the luggage, but the hassle of either some people, they don't want to take the taxi because, or they driving too fast, or they don't like to go. Depends on the taxi driver, but yeah, they always their friends or the new clients, they contact me because I can take them safely over there.
Yeah, and you come highly recommended. All right. What's your most requested destination?
Let's see. Up north will be Guayabitos, Rincon de Guayabitos, Alta Vista, or most likely Sayulita, San Pancho.
Okay, so Rincon de Guayabitos, that's the furthest north over there?
Yes.
And how long does it take to get up there?
All depends on the traffic and at what time we have to leave here, Puerto Vallarta. But I would say 1 hour, hour and 20 minutes. Depends on the traffic.
Okay, yeah, and if you take that bus, you can double that.
Pretty much.
Very nifty. All right, and so what'll happen is you'll take them up there. They'll spend the day, and you'll hang out until they're ready to come home, and you just take them back. That kind of thing.
Yes, pretty much. What I do, I'll drop them off. If I have to suggest any restaurant in Rincon de Guayabitos, I'll wait for them, or some of the clients, they want me to stay with them. So
it all depends.
It all depends.
It all depends, right? Yes. Some of them probably treat you like family. They go, "Hey, come on, let's go." Yeah. And then some of the other ones, they just they say, "Hey, just pick me up. Yeah. It's okay. We're all good."
Sometimes I suggest a time. If we get there, let's see, 11:30, then I'll pick them up maybe at 1, or all depends what's going on in the town.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And we're all on vacation time here, so time slips away sometimes. You never know.
That's true.
Right. You get a little bit of alcohol flowing, time really slips away. Well, you can start piling up some hours if that happens.
Definitely.
All right. Well, what was your longest ride? Tell me about. I'm sure you've had some doozies, but what was your longest one?
The longest ride was just about 6 hours. And
where was that?
And that's inland. That's Chapala. I'm sure everybody knows where Chapala is.
Lake Chapala. Tell everybody. Not everybody knows where Lake Chapala is. Where it's a big gringo retirement community.
Yeah, it is. There? It's the Lago de Chapala, or the Lake of Chapala.
Right.
And next of Chapala is Ajijic, beautiful town.
I'm glad you pronounced that because I could never. Ahihik.
Ahihik.
I
Right,
like
you
that.
got- you
I
got
like it, but it sounds better than Ajax. That's what I call it. Ahihik. Okay, cool. All right. So, how many miles away is that? That's 6 hours. That's, I guess, it's mountain roads and stuff, right? So,
Oh yeah. There's two ways where you can go. Either you have to cross Guadalajara, the city, or you can drive on this area by Mascota.
Okay.
Beautiful drive. It is quite a miles to
Yeah.
go over there. But yeah, the estimated time is around 6 hours.
Okay. So, what did you do when you got there? You just dump them off and see you later? What happened there?
Pretty much, because there's in the past, well, this year was a tour request, and I just dropped them up and picked them up 3 days later.
Whoa! So you drove back?
And I drove back, yeah. And yeah, I have to. Part of my job, I had to be honest, and I had to be on time. One day, I left around 4 o'clock in the morning from Puerto Vallarta, and I got over there in Chapala around 9 o'clock, 9:30 in the morning.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's,
Well, you got to be there because they're waiting for
I had
you.
to be there, yeah, that's for sure. And I will be there.
Yeah, sure will. All right. I believe you, man. Well, people love you. That's why I'm talking to you today. Let's talk about some of your clients. Have you, I don't want you to really kiss and tell or anything like that, but have you had any unusual clients or somebody that you can tell us about that maybe was famous?
Well, I had this, I would say, opportunity, because every time I meet clients, it's opportunity for me. So, about three months ago, I would say, probably 3 months ago, there was this couples from Canada, and they told me a little bit about their jobs, and so then I said, "Well, that sounds familiar. Sounds like you're an ice road trucker."
Ice road trucker, huh?
And they said, not the ones in the show, but yeah, we do drive on ice. And I asked them questions about the show, and I said, "Is it really true that you had to go a certain speed, or what is going on over there?" Because you see this show, and you think it's impressive how these drivers they go over the ice. They told me that yes, that's true. If you go faster, then
some bad things will happen to you and your baggage or whatever on your freight.
So and they were kind of. I was kind of nervous, I would say, because they were check me out, how was my driving and all that. But I believe I did like them. They hired me. They were here for a month. They hired me. I would say not every day, but yeah, a couple times.
They kept you busy.
Oh yeah, and there was, 10 people, and
wow.
Most of them they were drivers as well.
Right.
So.
Well, you didn't have to prove that you could drive on the ice here in Puerto Vallarta.
Not really, but.
But you had to prove that you could drive.
That I can drive, yeah, and bring them safe.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Good for you, man. All right, well, I think before we talk about how people can get a hold of you and all that other good stuff, let's talk a little bit about what I like to talk about, and that's restaurants. You got any favorite restaurants that you can tell my listeners about?
Yeah, I have little spots here and there. The one up north, there's this restaurant, it's Vista Guayabitos. This place has when you go up there, it's really nice to have this view.
Yeah.
You don't have to eat. You just have to have a drink.
All
or,
right.
It's just an appetizer or something, guacamole and chips, but you enjoy the view. Beautiful place.
Okay, it's called Mista?
Vista Guayabitos.
Oh, Vista.
Vista Guayabitos.
Okay.
And that restaurant considered to be in Vista. Yeah.
Yeah,
Vista.
a view.
A view. A view.
A view of Guayabitos.
View of Guayabitos. That will.
Okay, and obviously it's right on the beach. Or no? Or
it's
no?
up in the hill.
Okay.
But
a view of the beach.
But a view.
Yeah, they're not they're not messing with you. It's true.
It is true. Yeah.
All right. All right. And so that's a good spot when you go to Guayabitos.
Guayabitos. Yeah.
Okay.
And if you go to the south, there is Maito. And
Oh yeah. Hey, we didn't talk about Maito. Tell me about. Well, before you tell me about the restaurant in Maito, tell me about Maito.
Well, Maito is very quiet. It's just a little town.
Mm-hmm.
There's few tourists that they know where this place is.
So it's real quiet.
It is actually.
Yeah.
You can't. You're not going to find any T-shirt that says Maito.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, it's on its way, brother. I know it's on its way.
But it's a beautiful. You can walk miles.
Really? On the beach?
On the beach, yeah.
Wow.
Some of the locals, they go over there, they camp, they spend the weekend, and what they have is the main dish over there is oysters.
Ah, okay.
Some of my clients, they love oysters.
Yeah,
actually.
they're just going for the oysters, right? That's all they want.
That's all they want.
All right.
Not a burger.
Not a burger. What's wrong with you guys? All right. So what is the name of this place that you like over in Maito?
Well, Maito, there is a little shop, a little restaurant just next to the beach. I can't recall the name, but it's just the only one.
All right.
Well, actually, there is two, but sometimes it's open, sometimes the other one's open.
Right.
So
all right. So both of them are okay.
both are okay.
And they're probably both throwing down oysters.
But
Yeah.
if none of them they're open, then you continue to drive, maybe another 20 minutes, and you get to Tehuamistle.
Okay.
Tehuamistle. Now this town is beautiful. That's one of my favorite spots.
Yeah. Tell us about it.
But this town, it's in a little cove. It's a fisherman's town.
Mm-hmm.
The same, like I said before, as the oysters. The locals call them rock oysters. These oysters are big.
They're like big as a rock.
Pretty much. Because they're right.
Wow. Okay.
And the mussel is, they do have their season. I believe now there's the good season now, because about 2 months ago.
So we're in May, you guys, just in case you didn't know. Okay.
And about 2 months ago, it was what the locals say. The mussels or the oysters grow a little more.
Yeah.
Or they're not, because in that considered the off season.
Okay.
So you might get a small oyster.
Well, I get a smaller one. Okay. Yeah. Well, you never know.
You never
but
know.
it doesn't matter. Oysters, if you're coming for oysters.
That's Tehuamistle.
Okay.
Tehuamistle is the place to have oysters.
Excellent. All right.
Yeah.
And Maito.
I witnessed the diver go. You sit in a restaurant. There's two restaurants. Well, there's three, and there's another ones that you can. Also, if you take your own food from here, you can rent a table right next to the beach.
Oh.
You rent it per, I don't know, 1-2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
They give an umbrella. Actually, they give you a snorkel if you want.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You rent this table and you go for a swim. And
So that's a cool little deal that they've got going down there.
It is.
So they probably love to see some more people come on by, probably.
definitely.
All right. All right. That's a cool trip.
Yeah, and there's the locals down there. They own little kind of bed and breakfast places that you can rent.
Okay.
You stay over there for a weekend and enjoy the view because it's beautiful, and you can swim.
Right. Right. The water is nice and clean.
The water is nice and clean. It's not like here in Puerto Vallarta that is dark. It is deep. And definitely you can snorkel down there.
Cool. All right. So, how about in town? You got any favorite restaurants in town?
Well, there's many, I would say.
Well, maybe you can give me a breakfast and a lunch and a dinner.
Breakfast. Well, my wife, she always she likes the Freddy's Toucan.
Oh yeah,
very popular. And some people say if you visit in Puerto Vallarta, you must go over there.
Sure.
But for me, or what I suggest my friends, if you want the view, it really doesn't matter if you're having breakfast. Let's see, not on the beach, but just to have a breakfast by the beach is a wonderful experience.
Yeah, it is.
But I would say any restaurant is.
Any restaurant on the beach would be fine.
That's all that matters.
All right. Yeah. Well, that's why people come to Puerto Vallarta. They're not, they're here for the water. They're here for the friendly people. You know.
Definitely.
Got any dinner suggestions?
Suggestions. There is people who likes the steak. Sonora
Grill.
Sonora Grill is one of the good ones.
Yeah.
La Vaquita Argentina
Ah.
is one of that one you don't have the view of the beach. Actually, you have the view of the buildings, but
well, that's okay. We come for that too,
And then that will be the opposite. That's just to enjoy the meal or dinner. There is other restaurants people talk about, La Palapa and many others.
All right.
Some of the restaurants, they get better deals when it's the season.
Right.
When it's off season, they just...
And some of them just go ahead and close too. A lot of them close for a month and a half or whatever it is, so they can give everybody a little break, and then they gear up for the high season again and off and running once again.
Once again in November.
Yeah, some new paint and, clean it all up, and here we go. Well, all right. What is the coolest spot in town that someone can get to either by taxi or by walking or by you to take pictures?
To take pictures, I would say Los Arcos.
Okay.
If you visit Vallarta for the first time, yes.
All right. So how do you get a good shot of Los Arcos? Where would you hop off the road?
Well, we go. Los Arcos is located south of PV, maybe 15-20 minutes away driving. That you get a nice picture because you're right, almost pretty much on the level of Los Arcos, the rocks. So you are right on the front, which is the highway, and there's a little spot you can park there, and if you're lucky, there is no cars or no people, you get a really good picture.
Okay, so you just look for the spot off of Highway 200 where you can pull off, and at a good spot where you can just look off to your right or left or whichever way you're coming.
It's on the right side.
It's on the but if you come the other way, never mind. All right, so but on the right hand side, you want to hop out and get a shot there. So,
but if you want to have the experience to get closer, then you have to go to Mismaloya and catch or hire one of the guys that are over there, or water taxi that some people call, or you can get the water taxi by the pier.
Right.
You hire them, or I believe they give you their rate by hour. Or some of my clients took one guy from Mismaloya, and there was another one from the pier, and the guy charged them per hour, 1 hour, 2 hours.
Okay.
They always suggest 2 hours.
Yeah, everything takes longer. It's just the way it is. This is Mexico, you guys. Yeah. All right. Well, have we forgotten anything? Anything that you can think of that I haven't mentioned, other than how to get a hold of you and all that other good stuff?
Well, they can contact me on my Facebook, via Facebook. Chamaco Castillo, and you see my picture. I have my daughter in the back. I'm in my car. Or they can send me an email at chamaco at yahoo.com.
Give it again. I'll have that actually linked on my website, so don't worry about that. Give it again one more time.
Chamaco at yahoo.com.
Bueno. All right. One other quick question. What would you suggest to people who come to Puerto Vallarta for the first time? What kind of advice would you give them?
Well, besides to hire me.
Yeah, besides hiring you, that's right.
Hire me. I would say that, well, first, they do have to not just visit Vallarta, not just go to their destination, whatever hotel. What I suggest is to explore, like visit the north, visit Bucerias. You can do it in one day. Either you can take a taxi, they drop you off up north, and then you can take a taxi back, or you can hire me, and I'll make that trip in one day.
Yes, you will.
Yeah, and many things to see actually, not just Los Arcos or Misma Loya. There is another beautiful beaches like Maito, Tehuamistle, Inland, San Sebastian, Mascota, as well as Chapala.
As well as way up there, Lake Chapala. Wow. All right, you guys. Well, you heard it right from Jose. Jose, thank you so much for joining me, taking the time out of your busy day.
Thanks for having me.
Well, yeah, absolutely. See you again.
Thank you.
All right. Jose's a great guy. So he's soft-spoken, but he can take you places that only a local will know about. He can do that. I have pictures of some of the places that he takes his clients to in the show notes. Places like San Sebastián, like Maito, like Tehuamixtle, like La Cruz de Guanajuaxtle, all those places. He's got some great pictures there. And check him out. And once you do, there's no doubt that you're going to get the bug to climb on board his SUV and discover other places around the bay that you never knew existed. And you'll be taken there by a guy who knows the places to go. All right. Well, that should do it for this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. Next week, stay tuned for more on-the-ground reports from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, with travel tips, great restaurant and excursion ideas, and more. But until then, remember, this is an interactive show where I depend on your questions and suggestions about all things Puerto Vallarta. If you think of something that I should be talking about, well, please reach out to me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and send off your message. And remember, if you're considering booking any type of tour while you're here in Puerto Vallarta, you must go to vallartainfo.com, that's JR's website, and reserve your tour through him right from his website. Remember, it's a value-for-value proposition, my friends. His experience and on-the-ground knowledge of everything Puerto Vallarta in exchange for your making a purchase of a tour that you would do anyway. You're just doing it through him as a way of saying thank you. Thanks, JR, for being our guide. It costs no more than if you were going to use someone else, so just do it, really. And when you do take one of those tours, email me about your experiences. Maybe you can come on board and share with others what you liked or didn't like about the tour. Again, contact me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending off a message. And don't forget JR's maps, his DIY tours, his revitalized happy hour board, and more. I have links to those and more in the show notes and all over my website, really. And once again, if you like this podcast, please take the time and subscribe and give me a good review on iTunes if you've got the time. That way we can get the word out to more and more people about the magic of this place, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Remember, I made it easy for you to do just that with each episode that I create. But if you haven't been to my website, well, you got to go there and have a look. I've got links to the places that we talk about. I have interesting photos and more, all right there in the blog posts for each and every episode that I create. Get there, really. Okay. So, thank you, Jose Chamaco Castillo. Thanks for coming on the show and telling us about what you do in paradise. I have links to bring you right to him, you guys, right in the show notes. And I have pictures and more, like I said. And thanks to you, JR. I love your stories, man. I can't wait to bring more of them to all of you guys in the coming weeks, okay? So don't forget, JR, by the way, when you make reservations in Puerto Vallarta, and you're making those tours, he's your man, all right? All right, now thanks to all of you for making it all the way through this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. This is Barry Kessler signing off with a wish for all of you to slow down, be kind, and live the Vallarta lifestyle. Nos vemos, amigos.
Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de amor junto al mar. Solo camino interno por la playa, me encuentro junto al río cuando todo está en calma. Pronto cae la noche, brillas Puerto Vallarta.